Watching a special edition of Business Morning this Friday, 16th of July. I am Olufemi Awoyemi. My guest is on the show, Olufemi Awoyemi, the CEO and head of analysts at ProShare Nigeria. And let's talk about managing a chaotic economy, as it were. Of course, it's not new when we talk about fiscal and monetary imbalances and lack of coordination at various levels of economic managers. But what are the indices of economic chaos? Femi, welcome back to the show. The June 22nd report of ProShare is headlined Consistent Inconsistencies, and just where we stopped before the break, it's all about the fact that these individuals who are the economic managers appointed by President Goodluck Jonathan are professionals, they're qualified in their individual rights. However, the right mix of teamwork that does not exist, and in a way we begin to see what you call economic chaos. In other words, the left hand does not know what the right hand is doing. For example, the banks were accused of giving credit recklessly, and the central bank, the EFCC, and the current managers go after the bank debtors. Just about those recoveries, the federal government, the Revenue Service, went after these banks to recover government tariffs and other funds they collected that they had not remitted over several months and years to the government. I will talk about the government is owing the NNPC is owing the oil marketers, and the oil marketers are owing the banks. So the question is, these consistent inconsistencies continue to be consistent. How do we get out of this quagmire, as it were?
I believe this last 9 months we've come up with so many buzzwords, unintended consequences, cycle of negativity, the one you just used, consistent inconsistency, and there's a new one, a picture of chaos. Now the indices of chaos are those things you described. I'll give it to you as I said here. So when you find a state lacking order, a very specific kind of unpredictability, and a state of confusion. All those three generic symbols are the key components of what you call chaotic or chaos. Now, if you were to describe the market, you would say that it's very unpredictable. At this moment, it seems to lack order. The way things are done, one person says it, the other one reboots it, a law is passed, it's reversed, and it's a state of confusion. We don't even know what will happen anymore. How can you plan around it? Now, what basically is happening is what we call chaotic. It does not mean the country is going down the hill, like those are the other extreme will say. It's just chaotic. Totally chaotic. And what happens is that the message that you get here is that change as we practice it has failed. And that the learning opportunity that is appearing for us, we should learn to take it. And that means that the way we do these things, in the manner in which we do them, are not giving different results. So if the results we intend or we design ourselves for are one, to have power in this country, to have stable, a very varied small-scale sector, a good road transportation where people can cut a huge number of costs, which forces them to go out to other places. If you can have security, and you don't have to bring the Inspector General of Police to Abia State to look for journalists, until a notice gets done, you understand? If those are your objectives, which are both quantitative and qualitative, they are put together in the form of a plan. And then the minister of finance who puts it all together then begins to understand the fiscal imperatives therein. The monetary policy on its own, therefore, takes its cue to make those things happen. But Lamidi did not get any script. Hold on, deeply. The real fiscal policy, no. But the real problem I'm saying is that if you go back to it, it started far back as when the budgeting process in this country failed. The last time we ever had a 3-year rolling plan was a long time ago. There was a philosophical shift to the Meiji era to just creating what you call a 1-year rolling budget. And at that particular time, as the budget process diminished, that was the beginning of the collapse within the country's financial management system. Now what you find replacing it is pure communications. We are working on this. This is how much money we made. There's no document that tells you. So you get annual accounts afterwards, you get a budget, Nobody ties anything up. What is it that we're working towards? Remember, not too long ago, we used to name the budget. Budget of hope, budget of destiny, budget of reconciliation, budget of consolidation. We've suddenly run out of buzzwords to use to describe the budget because nobody took it seriously anymore.
We call this the delayed budget?
Nobody takes it seriously anymore. You don't get the point. The whole process has taken not just this 2009 when Lamido took over, a longer period. One of the few things that I suspect drives people like Lamido is unquestionable annoyance as to saying that the whole process that we call ourselves professionals has been diminished, both in terms of values in character standing, and this in itself compelled those actions. Now, those actions were those we describe as actions driven by a rush of the blood. That leadership therefore requires you to get less emotional about issues. So you may not like this fellow, you may not like a particular act. Leadership therefore tells you that you need the people to continue to rule the people. And so when you quoted the 45th law of power, which tells you that I think it's a pretty need for change, but we're never referring too much at once. Right. I think it's a very cardinal lesson, because the forces who are stacked up against you were those who benefited from the old order. They are resilient and they will not. So in terms of change, the few lessons one could have learned both in corporate environment and the private sector teaches us a lot of this is one. The first thing they needed to do is to find those people who have benefited a lot. That is one category. The second category is the category of what you call those who now are converted to onlookers in the new scheme. For example, if I have direct access to you, once there is a change and I cannot have access to you, maybe I go through somebody and I become an onlooker, I become a problem to your system. Now when the mass of those people increase far more than the momentum you are building up for your change, there is bound to be a stop somewhere. You therefore expect, at a minimum, that leadership must recognize this development and take care of those unintended consequences of an action. And sometimes you may then have to take a step back to say, don't let's act now, let's wait till when it is conducive and when people are able to go on a change. Now, the number of onlookers, people who were laggards, people who were not justified, no matter how much you describe them in negative terms, truthfully, those who became onlookers, you have created a linkage between the economy. How do I mean it? The banking sector used to take up rents all over the place, buy properties, and so rent expansions pushed up the real estate market. You will find them on all planes taking up air travel. Supported the airline industry. You find them merging in hotels. They buy automobiles. They buy automobiles. Taking so much of the pushed up the automobile industry. They created good jobs for the car business, and they just moved on. But most people were calling it even the roadside mechanics. They know. So the chain effect were those he was taking action on by default. By default. Now, therefore, you then increase the number of onlookers, those who are therefore lost out of the road order, perhaps angry set of people. And then you can imagine that nobody therefore listens to any positive thing he says, to the central argument about cleaning up with the system. So it's all about you've taken away my daily bread, or you've sliced my daily bread, as it were, down by half or by a quarter, or you've taken it off entirely. Let me give you an example. You've got rodents in your house. You want to get rid of them. You burn the whole house. That was need to ask the fire department what I said. That's what happened. Let's look at this scenario. One area that's been so far described as being a little bit organized in terms of fiscal, monetary policy, cohesion, and things like that was the Obasanjo's administration, especially the second term with the Konjo-Iweala, obvious Ekwesili, and Professor Chukwuma at the Central Bank and all that. And every report in the media, everywhere keep referring that there has some measure of cohesion, teamwork, and less chaos, as it were. According to Business Kawani of Financial Reviews, I was able to get Nigeria some level of consistencies to get us off the $35 billion foreign debt